to a couple of groups. Alright, so yeah, so now I'm on a multi-stream. So what I have right now is the work that I'm doing is should be seen on both Facebook and should be seen on YouTube. What I'm gonna do is just do a quick check on my computer, on my phone, to see if that is actually the case. So I'm gonna go to YouTube and take a quick look there too. Just see if I can stream. Let me go to my channel. Let's take a look there. Yep, and it's on both. So that's actually pretty cool. So that's another thing with Streamlabs that just happened that I didn't know you could do, but it seems to work out really well. It allows you to stream onto multiple platforms simultaneously. A lot of the stuff that I was doing with OBS, none of that stuff was working, so it's kind of cool to see this worked. It took only about a minute to set up, really. And it's so funny, I found it just on a post on I provided the information, so it's kind of cool. It's pretty easy to find the information and get it done. So now I'm actually streaming on both platforms at once, which is actually something I've been trying to figure out how to do for a while. Because back a few months back, what I would be doing is I would take the, and that's like not a really cool way to do that. So I wanted to stream from my tablet directly, and the only way to do that is to do it with using a gaming page on Facebook. Like Facebook, it will not allow you to directly stream to Facebook unless you have a gaming page. YouTube is not so stringent about it. YouTube, you have a YouTube channel, it'll allow you to stream right to it, which is actually, I don't understand why Facebook doesn't do the same thing, but they rather make you jump through hoops of creating a gaming page. And the funny thing is, not everybody goes onto Facebook to stream because of gaming. Like I personally go on there to do stuff for art. So while I'm actually doing comic book pages for the books that I'm working on, or if I'm working on lettering or doing something on a motion comic, that's usually what you'll see me doing online. So I might start streaming on YouTube because there's less hoops to jump through, and I might be able to do stuff with my I might be able to do my game stuff a lot easier. Like I said, Facebook, creating that gaming page is a pain in the butt, because what just happened before is I started the live stream and it decided to go to the gaming page even though I chose my art page. It went to the gaming page anyway because I went looking for the stream. I ended it and I found out it was sitting on the gaming page, and that's not what I want. So this might have helped me decide how much I'm going to be streaming on Facebook. Because the cool thing about, well, I just learned something. Yeah, I'll just do the gaming stuff on YouTube because I have my subscribers sitting there, and it'll be a little bit easier to do that. Because the stuff I'm thinking about doing is I'm doing some games of Vainglory. This is a, oh my goodness. Vainglory is a MOBA, basically a multiplayer online battle arena. So it's teams of 3 and 5 going up against each other in fights. And the key thing is the company who created it, Super Evil Megacorp, or SMC, as the community knows it as, started working on a new project called Spellfire. And now it kind of makes sense. Like when you get the idea behind of what's going on, the company was losing money on Vainglory because of the model that they came out with. The game was really good, and the idea was they were trying to want without having to pay for it. And it wasn't a play to win type of scenario. Like if you no matter what you bought in Vainglory, that did not change your skill level. It doesn't make you play better. It was a funny joke in some people's minds, like certain skins made your character seem to react faster or things like that, but I'm pretty sure it didn't. But the whole idea with it was they were trying to, hey, you got to pay for everything, and they never really explained that based on the model. We have to change it. They were like, oh, we just want to make things simpler. It'll be easier for everybody. And the real reason was they were bleeding out money, and they were trying to find a way to create a sustainable model to it, hoping that if they created a quality esport following, that they'd be able to generate money that way. And that didn't work out so well for them either. And I mean, that's the first esport I started following. I understand Leagues of Legend now because of Vainglory, but I prefer Vainglory over Leagues of Legend because I don't like all the keyboard stuff that you have to do and all the typing and things like that. Like, I can play Leagues of Legend, I understand it, but I'm not as fluent or as fast in League as I am with Vainglory, where I actually understand you. And what happens is it's basically ways to cut down the animation so your character can move faster and react faster and do things quicker. So I can do stuff like that in Vainglory. Leagues of Legend, I have no clue. Um, but um, it's like an action game or adventure game. Maybe that's what Spellfire is going to be. So literally happened is SMC started working on their new project to try to create a more profitable game from the what do you call it, from the onset. And what happened is they needed to like leave Vainglory, and the plan they had was, okay, they're gonna find another um, publisher, move the game to that publisher. They worked with the publisher for about a year, a year to 6 months, showing them the ropes of how to balance the game, how to add skins and amazing stuff, right? And then they handed it off to the other publisher. The stuff with COVID-19 and everything happened, and about 2 weeks ago, the other publisher said, like, on Wednesday, the other publisher contacts SMC and says, "Oh, we're gonna be shutting off the servers. This game's not profitable enough, and we can't keep it going. So, well, we're just gonna let it go." So, on that Friday of that week, they were planning on just shutting off the servers and ending the game. SMC, the creators of the game, were like, "Yo, that's not cool." So they scrambled on what do you call it, in 2 or 3 days to figure out how to keep the servers up and running. plan that they have now going forward is they're going to try to create it in a situation where the community will be able to manage the servers instead of SMC, because that's where a lot of the money is going from. But the main servers and everything's going to be run by the community themselves. Like, you'll be able to balance the games. You'll be able to change characters, change the weapons, make them work better, slower, whatever. The only thing right now real well, like stage 4 and stage 5, they're thinking of maybe like what could happen if Spellfire goes off without a hitch and everything is working well. Could they come back and make more content for the game, or find ways to keep it improved? It would be great if they could, or even if they found a way to open it up and let the community start designing maybe heroes or even skins and stuff like that. That'd be kind of awesome. Like, there's some kind of template or rules that they had to follow. That'd be kind of neat. So we'll see what the future holds. But the idea that they came up, that it had before, but I mean, I've been playing it with this new version right now. It doesn't have any of your character names or any of your stats or profiles, which I don't mind so much. I just want to be able to put my name up and control it. Right now, we're all playing with these things called temporary whoever, and you're getting all the possible players that ever play Vainglory. That are active accounts that are basically being set as your temporary name as you go from game to game. I'm playing temporary, and it's pretty neat. Like I said, it plays well, and one of the guys who've been playing it, who was a professional player in the of the game during the esport days, he plays it and he's like, yo, he doesn't really mind this pared down, it being pared down to its raw basic elements, and I kind of agree with him. I've been playing Vainglory. They only had like 9 characters. I came in where that character was, or the week that character was introduced as a new character, that's when I started playing Vainglory. So the game is somewhere between 5 to 6 years old. I came in probably on the second year, because I don't remember much about the first year. Like, I can't tell you exactly who the first 7 or 8 characters was in the game. So that's how I basically came into it. But yeah, it's pretty neat. So that's a game I'm probably gonna be streaming on YouTube. I'll probably do the gameplay on YouTube, because I just thought about it. I don't have to keep creating a stupid new page on Facebook. I'm gonna actually delete the page and everything, because I'm not. I don't want to deal with that. It's a mess. And the thing is, I rather just have my main page doing what I'm doing right now for the art that I'm doing right now, and that's how I'm gonna basically stay. And Fallen Sky are chasing down these dudes from a group called Dark. And what Dark is this a group created by Ahmed Kasame. Dark is literally a team of, what do you call it, bioengineered, enhanced henchmen. So the whole idea, what you can do with them is, if let's say you're a big organization and you need to get a lot of goons, and you want to get hire some quality or some empowered goons or goons with abilities, um, but not have people know like they're working for you, who they're working for. That's one thing. Or if you need extra muscle, these guys can come in and do that for you too. So that's the whole idea with the characters. So the whole idea is they're designed to be um, extra. Another one to the secrecy. If you wanted to do something but you didn't want to have your organization associated with it, um, rich, powerful like villains would hire those guys to do that work for them. He has this crazy imagination, like where his mind goes dark, mine goes light. We're almost like yin and yang. We're I think born of the same year, maybe about a month or two apart. But like yeah, his stories are always darker, 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 and mine's are always more hopeful, and more full of light. It has an interesting balance, and it's like it's a way I can actually balance him out in storytelling. Faces and dark stuff. Like yeah, he has a lot of really fun stories. It's funny too. A lot of his stories too came from the same way mine came originally, from role playing games. So that's that's if you ever see people who are like really decent at writing or who are really good at writing or they have like these imaginations, they can take characters and run with them. I have a feeling that most of those people have played role playing games, and the reason I say that is like they've been playing AD&D. They've played Palladium books, Ninjas and Super Spies, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Robotech. They've usually played one of those, and the way those role playing games work, the pen and paper one, even Vampire the Masquerade. There's like so many that were done in the past. So the idea is you have to have a really good imagination to come up with stories because there would be books where you can buy campaigns and you'd follow the whole story that way, but at the same time is the campaigns are like source books to give you an idea of how the world works and the rules of the world. But like always, as we're young people and we're writers, we love comics, we love all that stuff, we'll start like changing certain parts of the rules or adding certain things that we thought were cool. Like my Robotech story, the Robotech stories we had, my friends, they were older than me. They were like my brother's classmates from high school and college, and it's like that's why we got the ideas for. They like psionics, like mental powers, or what you call psychics, or mutants with telepathic abilities, right? So all your powers are based through the mind. So if you watch shows like Yo Yo Hakusho, um, and even in my comic book world, almost everybody who has a superpower, it's based on psychic abilities. Like it comes from the mind. The power is powered through the mind. The mind lets you access a certain force, and then it gives you that ability. The mind lets you access a certain element, and that element puts it through the ability. So dampening those powers literally is you need a psionic damper to stop most of the heroes in my world, Blue Jay included. Like a lot of them, if it's not a personal thing that's happening to the body, their powers usually are based in what do you call it? Some kind of psychic energy that's being used to increase their abilities. So that's kind of how I set up my world. That's kind of like how my superheroes enhance abilities are based, and it's based on um, what's going on in the world, who the villains are, so on and so forth. So that's a little bit of insight on that. But yeah, I'm telling you. But those pens and paper games, I'm actually really thinking about doing one. Um, Vince White is doing the Powerverse crossplay cards. He's trying to finish those up for a Kickstarter he did for a Kickstarter he had did for what do you call it? Powers That Be. And the thing is, the cards came out more expensive than he expected because he didn't get a lot of people who asked for them. And he told me somewhere the thing might have been like maybe 8 people. So if you have only 8 people and you're gonna try to print a 52 to 55 deck card set, it's going to be really, really expensive. Like, he did a test run of his for himself with all the cards that he had of the characters, and that test run cost them around 50 with shipping and everything. So it was like $50 to get the whole card. But the cards are beautiful. Like, he did an unboxing of them and he showed them. It was freaking amazing. They look great. So the idea was he was going to try to do a simple what do you call it, Indiegogo, to try to say, okay, let me get some money. If he could put like do a large order of those cards at one shot, he'd be able to then actually ship the ones that he got for the people that he owed, and at the same time he'd be able to get the game out so people can play it. So that was the plan. But a lot of the guys from the original Powers That Be were saying like, hey, I thought the idea was you were just going to give us the cards and we were going to print them ourselves and all that. So he goes, you know what, he's going to scrap the cards that he has right now, and then what he's just going to do is move towards generating a new one with total independent deck with totally new heroes. There are some folks that want to be involved and don't want their characters removed and stuff like that. So like those guys are covered also. And the idea was to try to just get the money together so he can actually do the printing. And the cool thing is that Indiegogo hit. It hit yesterday at like 6:05, or 6:20 or something like that. And then I looked at it today and it was up to 720. Like, it was 6:05 or 6:08, and then it jumped up to 720, which was amazing. So it's gonna be cool. The thing I love about the cards is the way he designs them with the characters have these stats. I have a source book coming out. I have an idea of what my stats are, but what I might do, I might work with Vince and try to pair his stats down from the Powerverse with my stats also, so I can actually kind of create a more uniform stuff. And his numbers, I think, go up to 50, where my numbers go up to some crazy my numbers go up to some crazy thing like 80, and it doesn't really make sense. So one of the things I'm going to be like looking into to see if I can actually pull off. Also, I'm gonna actually talk to him about it, because he has like a nice template and stuff laid out, and I can just rework my numbers to work within base 50, and then I can work on I have these things called planetary threats. They're based on your power and your threat level. It's basically based on your empowered level and something else, and how many special abilities that you actually have, and what classification those abilities are. So based on that, I can say like, is your character, even though he's like a street guy who's fighting on whatever, what kind of threat level is he? Is he like a low threat level where he's like he's a dangerous person and he can hurt an individual? Or is he a threat level to, let's say, maybe a city? Or is he a threat level, let's say, a planetary threat level, where he could basically harm a whole planet? And I think the last ones are like if you're like a cosmic threat level, and so on and so forth. So in my mind for it. But yeah, I'm gonna probably talk to Vince, and I'm just gonna try to use his guidelines that he has, And then what that does is it's like 5 attributes, and then what happens is your most powerful attribute is in 10. And then if you're like close to 10 anyway, like if you're 8 or 9, those are still really high. If you're like 5, 6, and 7, I mean 6, 7, and 8, I mean 5, 6, and 7, that's a mid-level. And if then you're down to 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 4 is still like pretty amazing compared to normal people. And then 1, 2, 3, like those are more mundane people. Like they're just normal. They're quirkless. If you're a My Hero Academia fan, so those are ideas that I have for it. So I'm gonna definitely try to push those through and see if I can. Like I said, I'm gonna talk to him about it, and then I'm pretty sure he's not gonna be like, "Oh no, you can't use that." So yeah, most likely that's what I'm gonna do, because I haven't printed my book yet, and all I have to do is just go sit down and rework my numbers, and it should be pretty easy to do. So that's what I'm thinking about. Like, I mean, it'll be a lot less headache for me, and it'll be less freaking remember, because every time I'm looking at it, I'm just like, what is the scale of this again? Like, if I don't look at it for a few months, even I can't follow it. And the idea is to make it easy to understand, not more complex that you have to sit down and read a paragraph or two before you can figure out like what you're looking at. And that doesn't make sense. And the way he draws his cards, and he has them all set up, and he's done a 101 before, it's I think it's just the best way to do it. And I don't know, that it might be that book might be gigantic. It might be actually 48 pages, because every time I'm thinking like, oh, I don't have to put these characters in, and then I start remembering 3 or 4 freaking characters that I have, that I'm like, they'll fit into the narrative of what I'm trying to say here. So that's one of the things I'm kind of trying to figure out. I wonder if I can use, what I'm trying to do is not have to sit down and freaking re-ink all this crap again. And I have this freaking animation sitting here where I did all this freaking inking, and every time I try to bring it in, it doesn't work. But I think it should work for these, where she's actually, so like, if you're wondering, right? So I took the first 2 pages of the stuff and I created this animation out of it, right? I actually added in music, and I added in sound effects and everything for it, and I created this animation. So a lot of the things that you're seeing, it's already pre-done. Like, I don't really have to sit down and try to do it again. But the thing I know too is, when you're doing an animation versus when you're doing the characters themselves, it's the animation. No, you kidding? I didn't merge it, did I? Son of a monkey. Yeah, but look how good that is. I don't want to have to redo that again. That's a pain in my butt. Oh man, I'm gonna try to take this layer and see if I can. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna try to see. I'm gonna see if I can pull this off that way. It'll save me a whole lot of headache, if I can actually do that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to copy. I'm gonna go back to gallery. Yes, that'd be nice. And we'll hit paste. So what I'm hoping is, yeah, this should work out. In this case, it should work out because these are so small. do is, yeah, I'll go over it, but I am not going to ink that from scratch. That's just stupid. And these, all the ones that I did for this are kind of big. They're actually really big. And yeah, and I'll just take it out. So what I'll do is I'll go into this layer. I'm gonna get rid of the background for now. Is this the one? Not you. This one, yeah. I'm gonna get rid of the background, and I have to find that layer with all these flips on them. Where the heck are they? They're here somewhere. Okay. That should be this one right here. There you go. Get rid of that. Now what I'm just gonna do is I'm just gonna tighten this up a little. The lines won't be too thick, so I don't have to sit down trying to control pressure. But yeah, this was actually the whole plan when I was drawing the animation, was to have a lot of the inking already done, and then all I would just be doing is going over it to save some. Well, because they're larger than the pictures that I'm using, and when something is larger, it doesn't really scale well. But when you're working from large to small, it works out okay. The thing too is I plan on doing a lot more animation in the future. I was just reading Is Nana the Werespider Volume 1, and just looking at the first story, I read the first, like reading a storyboard to a freaking horror anime. It's like, it's really, really good. And I'm like, yo, the art is like, the art already looks like it's moving, even though it's like a page, it's just a comic book page. And I was telling Greg, yo, have you ever thought about like animating this? And then I go, oh yeah, you're a really good writer too. Because even though I'm giving, because the funny thing is the dude who drew it, Walter Aslai, I actually know him. He's a friend through a cousin of mine who was working with him. They were working together in a company, and he goes, oh yeah, man, my friend Walter, he does comics too. And you go check out his Kickstarter, and that was the first Kickstarter I seen for Walter. Was this thing he created called Cubicles, and he did this like a really funny little video where he Cubicles was, the way he pitched it, it was like a TV show that was just in comic book format. So it was pretty interesting. But Walter is actually a really, really good writer. He's a great artist, and he's a fantastic writer too. One of my favorite things that he's done is something called Shiver Bureau, and I'm gonna see if I could put some money down and get the physical version of it, or even a digital copy. It's Shiver Bureau is so good. I've read it online when he had it as a webcomic. I think he has it as a webcomic still, but he also has it as a printed form, and I think it's so good that I want the printed version too. So that's kind of how good Shiver Bureau is, and it's this really interesting, fully realized world that he just made up, but it's so well done. As you're reading it, you're completely drawn in, and you don't feel like you don't know what's going on. You feel like you're completely in the loop of the story, and that's not something all writers can do, and he did that really, really well. And I mean, I was reading it, I was coming back week after week, I'm like, yo, what happened next? Because it's really good. So like I said, Shiver Bureau was tight. That's actually it's really good work. I just need this layer to copy. So the idea is we're just gonna keep bringing the layers in, because I am, like I said, I'm not gonna do all this work where I'm gonna redraw something or re-letter something that, re-ink something that I already pretty much drew. And the detail that's on it too, with her clothes and everything, as I get down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I did so many of these that this literally transformed into an animated sequence. Like, you can see when she flips down, all I just did was just bring her larger and bring the camera down with her. It's like, this is kind of crazy, because the funny thing is, there was no reference for this. This is something I did from my head. I have a tendency to like doing these, and this is because I like Batman. They would do this in Batman and Nightwing a lot, and even Spider-Man. It's done also in Isnana. It's done really well in Isnana also. I really enjoyed seeing that, and it's an old comic book thing too, to show motion by showing the character multiple poses, moving and doing a certain set of movements, as they move around the page, and you're following along. The thing change the coloring, just on the fact that the motion is happening in multiple passes. A person can follow along and realize, oh, okay, this is him moving through all of these pieces, and it's a really cool way to do panels. I kind of like it a lot. It's one of those things I like seeing, and because of it, I do it at least once or twice in a lot of stories that I do, that are my stories or stories that I write. This is at least once or twice in the book. Yeah, I can't help it. I just love doing these. In Blue Jay and the Rush #1, there's one motion where he does it. He does a move where he dodges down and then he comes over, grabs a gun from a kid's hand, and I did it in three moves, in 3 passes. So that was that in Blue Jay and the Rush. In Blue Jay and the Rush, in Blue Jay and the Rush 2, he gets dropped from a high distance, like he gets let go from a high distance by Prototype 1, and he glides in, and then he closes his cape, and then he rolls down like parkour rolls down onto the floor, because he needed to get down real quick and then move really fast to go do something. Then when he jumps off the roof, and then he's going to swing down into a window to save somebody, he literally, it's another 3 to 5. I have a 5 version, a 3 version of him swinging, his body turning in midair as he puts his body in to do the big giant swing, so he can do a freaking pendulum kick like right into there. So yeah, I love doing that stuff. I think it's the coolest thing you can do in comics. It's literally animation without actually animating something. So it's one of my favorite things to do when I can. When I can work it into a story, I usually try to. And I'll show it to y'all a little bit later. The power of his crossplay. He has like 12, 13 days to go, or 12 or 13 days to go, and it was kind of cool on, I think, with 15 days to go or something like that. It might be 14 days, but with 15 days to go, he hit. It's kind of cool. It's a cool little thing, and from those cards, I'd love to do like I was just talking about role-playing games. I'd love to do a role-playing game instead of you having to roll out these crazy character sheets and all that stuff like that. You can actually, if you have like already a comic book universe, that would be a cool way to set up your characters, and then it has a lot of information about your characters already sitting on the card. So that, I think that would be a fun way to pull that off. Yep, and there's that pose right there, right there. Wow, this one's not that finished. And the animation happens so fast, like your eyes don't see it, but yeah, this one's not that finished. So I'm gonna hit copy on that, and then I'll jump out, and then we go back to here, and then yeah, then I can actually just paste her in again. Yeah. So as we do each one of these passes, so this one I'm just gonna clean up right now. I'm just so silly. I mean, I did not have to put the line on the same layer as she was in. But it's interesting because the way you can animate in Procreate is a very interesting way to get stuff done. The other program that I use is Rough Animator. It's really cool. And what's interesting is if you sit down and you watch some people animate some stuff online, like this one guy did a One Piece shot of Monkey D. Luffy. He sets up the scene. I started learning that like transitioning or doing a cut in animation is super easy. You don't have to really worry about how the scene, like he does one where he's up in his face, he's getting ready to do the punch, and it's moving slowly, and then all of a sudden he does a pullback, like a really far pullback, and then what he does after he finished doing those, the main, he drops out the main keys of what he wants, and then he starts doing the tweens in between, and then it starts, you see the motion just gets tighter and tighter. So it's really cool. My thing is I do the keys like you're supposed to. I do those keys like you're seeing right here. I do the keyframes and everything. My tendency is I don't do the tweens. I'm more of like the keyframe artist. Like I always tell anybody who looks at this, they're like, "Oh, this is really good." I'm like, "Yeah, it's only 14 seconds and it took over 35 hours, right?" And I didn't color, because if I went to color, those 14 seconds would just jump up. Like coloring is like, again, redrawing all over again, which is a pain. So that's one of the reasons, like I said, as much as I enjoy the process of creating these things, nah, man, it's not something. Maybe if I'm working with a team of maybe another 2 or 3 guys, and we're working on it. And the idea too is I'm thinking of using programs like Crazy Talk Animator Pro, Crazy Talk Animator Pro, Crazy Talk 3 Animator, Crazy Talk 3 Animator Pro, yeah, or Animation Pro. The reason is if we can create a front view, a 3/4 view, and side view and back view of these characters, and 3/4 back of these characters, right? You can then use the program, because it's a bone animation. You can have the program tween the motions in between. You wouldn't have to animate all that. You just need to just keep putting in the pieces one by one, one by one, one by one, setting up the animations and saving those, and then you'll be able to then apply it to other characters. So you would never have to do the same thing. Like once you create a walk animation, you can create one really cool animation for walking for men, take care of that. Then you create a walking animation for women. Then you can then start doing modifying things, old woman, old man, young woman, and you could even have specific characters have a more distinct style of walking or moving, and you can actually just do that. So yeah, I mean that's the idea, is to find ways to speed up the process and remove as much of redoing the work over and over again. What it will become is designing the characters and setting up those looks for them, and then what you will be doing from in the future is just acting out the scene, setting up the background, setting up the action, and getting that done. And that's really what I'm hoping for. But I could definitely see there's gonna be some times when you're doing like a really cool effects and things like that and stuff that you might want to show. Like some of the stuff I did with Blue Jay, I had him like he's jumping from stone to stone, climbing up a mountain. And then there's one shot I wanted to do where he's really low and then he jumps up and then he grabs onto the stone, he swings a little bit, and then he gets his body in position and he just leaps up the mountain. And the way I saw that, I figured out an easier way to do it is, and I even did it in this animation also, some of the action, instead of drawing the whole body moving and stuff like that, you do a jump cut to a close-up of the character's hand. And animating a hand and some parts of the body like that are a lot easier than animating a full body. So I would do little tricks like that, like it's a camera framing trick, to let me be able to do what I want to do and not have to draw a crazy amount of stuff. So the same thing when Blue Jay jumps up and catches, you see him leaping forward, and then it cuts over to his hand grabbing onto the stuff, and then the camera pulls back and you see his body swinging into position as he gets ready to jump up the mountain. So those are the ways I play around with animation to pull off tricks. And that Blue Jay piece is 40 seconds, and that took over 80 hours. So, and I have not finished inking, and I have not added color. So, oh my God, like, I mean, I'm just thinking, oof, I'm not happy about thinking about it at all. So it just proves, I think, what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to start like doing more open and easy stuff. Like I started noticing like the way the background of this screen is, the stuff that Henry designed for me. I gotta really think about doing stuff like that when I'm going to be drawing my own stuff, because you want it to be easy. You don't want it to be like this nightmarish thing that's taking forever to do. So those are the things I'm thinking about. Let me see. Okay, that's over here. Because what I'm going to be doing too is I'm going to start merging these layers. Let's add you back in. Cool. So now what I need to do with her is go back to here. I'm going to use this. And we'll use this. We'll add it all together and we'll clear. There you go. It's a little bit. Where the heck is it? I don't know where that is and why this is happening on her, so I'm going to try to do this and clear. Where is that? Weird. I don't know why there's a space above here. Let's try it again. Let's do something a little bit bigger. And I'm gonna hit clear again. Yeah. So I'm gonna do I'll try to do some of the gameplay stuff tonight on YouTube. The interesting thing I'm thinking too is I hear a lot of times too, like Facebook drops a lot more. Facebook drops a lot more video than if you were on YouTube or somewhere else. So that might be a thing too. Yeah. So those are my 3 phases so far. And then I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. So 8 altogether. Yeah, thank God something's working out. Because I was not looking forward to having to draw all of this over again. Wonderful. So I just need to copy this layer. Yeah, I was not looking forward to having to do all of that. Oh boy, boy, that's good. Open sesame. All right, this one's not too bad either. This is going to be clear. And we're just gonna move. Yeah, so what I just do is I find the position that I had set up for it to be in, and I just try to match them up, and that's pretty much it. And all I have to do is just touch up right here, touch up right here. Like if I want to be really lazy and I don't want to even have to re-ink it at all, I can just double it up, and that actually takes care of the problem too. You just double it up, it darkens automatically, and then you just merge the two together, and that gives us that. So that's one of the other ways that you can do that. So I can, let me just see something duplicate. Yeah, kind of works out too. We'll just give the girls that, and now we have a nice little darkened version of that. Next one, let's bring in the fifth one. So this animation's coming in pretty handy. So I just need this. Yep, this is going to be copy. And I think the next few pages are going to be easy, way less background. So I'm not going to have to really worry about it. It's going to be a lot more characters. And actually, inking characters is so much easier for me than it is to do backgrounds. So I actually rather the people nowadays. Yeah, we're going to lose that hand for real, for real. So that's the cool part. We're gonna clear that, and then we're gonna duplicate. We're gonna merge together. I found my trick. Don't have to do much extra work now. Now we go to that one. Almost done here. That's the only cool part about when you did the work already. You don't have to reproduce it twice. Yeah, that's nice. Fan freaking tastic. Awesome sauce. So we're gonna copy this one. Gallery. Go back. We'll paste it. This is what was supposed to happen this whole page. This is everything you're seeing here was what I was supposed to be doing through this whole first two pages. Like these pages were supposed to be really fast because I'm just like, oh haha, I have all of that already inked. It's gonna be great. Oh my god, best laid plans, bro. Didn't even come out that way. It's so frustrating. I tried to use the inking twice in the first page, and I was just like, yo, it's faster to just re-ink it because it takes so long to touch it up and change stuff that it's not even freaking worth it. You might as well just re-ink it and move on. And the cool thing I'm trying to do too is she's getting bigger as she's getting closer to you. So as you can see, she started smaller. Yeah, I gotta fix that one. Let me see. I haven't brought all the others in yet. Yeah, I gotta fix this one though. This one needs to be a little bigger. She's a little too small. She just needs a little bit more size in her. We're going to add, and we're going to move this corner out. She needs to be just a tad bigger. Yeah, she needs to be just a tad bigger. Okay, so now we got this girl in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate. Close that down, and we're going to add two more girls, and we're on our way. Actually, I have all of the figures down there actually drawn also. I think I still might have to use some of them too because I think they're more detailed. They're actually larger. As long as they're larger than the pictures that I'm going up against, I should be okay. Because once they get to be about the same size, that's when I don't have what I need anymore. Okay, we need to copy this. I see. And followed by landing. Okie dokie. Let's just see. Is there too many here? I don't need that many. What the heck does the pose look like? I need to get her body flipped out. I'm correct, right? Let me see. Oh, I need her body falling down and then the one landing. Yeah, I don't need that many. It's interesting. I think I did extra frames because of the animation. So let me just see what I have here. So the next one after the flip. Yeah, I need this one. So it's going to be edit. Copy. And then gallery. Let's paste. Yeah, so whenever you can reuse something, that's a good thing. It helps so much. And that's kind of like what I'm also trying to learn to do too. If it's even that's another reason. Like a lot of folks, the reason I like the Powerverse idea too is other creators had certain things in place that I didn't have to recreate from scratch. Like Christian, Kurt Christensen has the freaking the hyper, all the speedsters and stuff like that. He has like this whole school and things set up for speedsters. To me, that would have been that's so much easier to use than me having to sit down and now creating a whole lot of speedster lore and mythology. I could just borrow something from another creator, give him credit, refer to his books, and then have our characters interact on that level without our two universes having to cross over in any other way. So that's just basically the whole idea of what I want to do. So that's pretty much like what we're trying to. That's was another one of those things I loved about the Powerverse. It's the same thing about like with the elements that are in the Powerverse, like Weaver Metal. I mean, I created 3 or 4 of my own, but he has Weaver Metal, Aquatic X, Spirit Jimson, and a lot of these things. Like I like Spirit Jimson so much. Like there's like 2 or 3 of my characters that use Spirit Jimson also. I like Weaver Metal so much. It's used to create my portal technology in my world. Like that's how they create portals. Instead of like teleportation devices like you're used to seeing in like Star Trek and things like that, in my story they use, if you remember the old He-Man cartoons where they would create the dimensional doors where the sorceress was created and He-Man, Man-at-Arms, and Teela would all walk through those things. I kind of have something like that in my world, and it's called a Weaver. It's called the Weaver Bridge. But the interesting thing about that bridge is it doesn't just allow you to travel within the dimension. If it's configured correctly, you can actually go from different dimensional realities to different dimensional realities. It actually can do not just cross space travel, it can also do cross-dimensional, cross-reality travel. So it's a Weaver Gate Bridge. So that's what's kind of cool about it. Yeah, so those are some of the stuff. Like I said, to me, that was the exciting thing about the Powerverse. And even though it's loosely affiliated, like I still affiliate my stuff with a lot of the stuff that Vince is doing. I have my own label and imprint, Chart Comics, but I still refer to concepts from the Powerverse, like the Immortal Plane. It's almost in everything I do comic-wise. Because I think it's a really cool idea. That's the plane where the Omni Gods live. So instead of using the idea of saying it's a god, we call them Omni Gods. So that's kind of cool. Ooh, someone's following me now. That's pretty neat. I mean, those are the reason I kind of like using Streamlabs is all these little features like the alert box and things like that. I think like they're really cool. So that's kind of the reason why I started using it. And the thing is, it's kind of crazy. Just on March 23rd, the version of it I'm using, Streamlab OBS, which is basically their version of OBS they created for the Mac, came out literally maybe the 31st plus 6 days. So we're talking about 11 days after it came out. So before that 11 days, if I had decided to use this program, I wouldn't have been able to use it at all because it was only Windows only at the time. So it's fantastic. It uses less memory than regular OBS, and it's easier to use and it's easier to configure. What was kind of cool is everything I had from the original OBS, I just transferred it over. So it's called Streamlab OBS. So like if you want to use it and you don't have a gaming platform, what you just have to do is you have to find a game that kind of mirrors the idea of what you're doing. Like if you have a weather page, right? You can. There's a game called Nice Weather We're Having, and there's a game literally called that. So you would literally put playing Nice Weather You're Having. I found a game called Drawing Room, and there's a bunch of drawing games, but Drawing Room makes the most sense for me because I'm literally drawing. So I was like, yeah, that game title kind of fits like what I want to do. Oh, we just did that one. My bad. Undo 2 fingers. I just got to get the last one, and we're done for that. And like I said, I want to move on and show you guys some other stuff. Because, yeah, wow, it's only an hour. That's pretty good. I usually doing a lot worse. So I've talked a lot about a lot of things too. And what I kind of like is I don't want to make it to go too long too, because I usually go 2 hours, which is kind of nuts. So I'm gonna try to keep it around maybe an hour, hour and a half, and then just show you some stuff after that, and then I'll get back on my own to working on some other stuff. Yeah, so I don't need those 2 layers. I actually want this one. This is the one I want. Does the other one look better? I think the other one's better. I think the other one's bigger. Let's see. It's the same thing, but this one I think is a little bigger. So this is the one I'm on. And it got the line off her body, which is also awesome sauce. So we'll copy that one. After we finish copying, we'll go back again to our layer and we will paste. So the whole idea too, like I said, when you're, I did this Bliss project, which basically was black, lead, indie, star, showcase. Yeah, black lead, indie, star, showcase. So the idea of what I was trying to do was I was trying to find characters that were black, because it was Black History Month at the time. I wanted to find like black lead characters in stories, whether they were hero or villains, but they were kind of important, and they were kind of like big important characters in the story. They're like kind of the leads in the story, but whether they were good or bad. So that's what I was trying to basically get for Black History Month this year. So I created this project called Bliss, and for each day I was trying to do, when I originally started, I'm like, I'm going to do this in an hour. And then I found out an hour wasn't enough time. So I was like, I am going to do this every day. The reason that it started getting tough is during the time I was doing Bliss, I found out a bunch of people that I knew or actually were acquaintances on Facebook passed away. The biggest one that kind of hit us hard, and this is kind of crazy too. A lot of people passed away. Kobe had just passed away maybe about 5 or 6 days before, and I don't know why that one hit me hard, but it hit me hard. Like, I mean, I learned some stuff about Kobe after his passing, and put a lot of things that I had when I was younger that I did not take into consideration when I was looking at his situation with the girl, the sexual assault thing and stuff like that. And when some people started like posting what actually happened, and some people started explaining what happened in that and what he actually did, it brought a whole new light to the guy that I didn't even understand. I mean, he had moved past that. Where it was consensual sex, and she thought it wasn't. The way the case got dismissed and everything, he's more like, it's more towards his favor that yeah, he probably was in the right, but he went out of his way still to apologize to the girl, after it happened. So that I did not know. Who feels that they've been assaulted or if they've been through something like that, it's a very important thing for the person they felt that wronged them to kind of say, I'm sorry, and for what happened and what was done to you. Like, just to say that, he didn't have to. He literally could have walked away from it. But I don't know if it was part of the in a situation like that. So it, like I said, it put me in a new light. And then with his daughters and the path that he's been on, and what he was doing with his life afterwards, you kind of, there's a lot of respect that you kind of have for the dude, and you start realizing that one really stupid thing that he was involved in, he didn't let it define his life, and he became a better person after. So that's what I can tell you. It's the one thing I wish people would understand. Like I was just reading some some posts right now. This the COVID-19 stuff and some of the stuff going on in Chicago with the mayor literally saying like, yeah, she's going out of her way to see if she can help support immigrants in the situation. And I can understand the frustration that you have, citizens of Chicago who are black, who are dying at a higher rate than anybody else in the city, feeling like a certain way about, like, okay, you're covering immigrants, but you're not even covering the American citizens that are born here that are black. We're just ignoring them. So I can understand that a lot of these folks are upset. And I get it. Like, it's not a crazy thing to be upset about. Like, we're really affected by this. It's really affecting. Instead of trying to help the people who are the most impacted by it currently. So it's to God, and they'll believe they'll forgive somebody who like murdered their son. Like, this is the Bolton John thing. I think what a lot of folks don't process is when you forgive somebody who wronged you, you ain't doing it for them. You ain't even doing it for everybody else who's watching. You're doing it for yourself, yo. If you haven't figured it out, not only is it able to do that, but it's also more healing for you. So you don't have to carry venom and anger in your heart over somebody who did something that is so wrong to you that you should really hate that person and want to see him dead. But in well, that's on you, but you got to know you're killing yourself, because holding on to anger, holding on to negative emotion, as ridiculous as Star Wars can be, that was one of the very few logical things that George Lucas wrote in his Star Wars story. Anger leads to hate, hate leads to that, and everything leads to the dark side. Yeah, when he's talking about that, is those negative emotions, bro, they don't help you. Holding on to hate because somebody did something wrong, like taking a family member of yours, it ain't gonna help you. It's the same way the people in the M&E church, Dylan Roof, they forgave him too. It's not about Dylan Roof. It's for them not to carry that hurt and that pain in their heart, so they can move on, so they can live. That's what it's about. So it's strange that People can't process it. I think it has something to do with, I guess to me it's an empathy thing. Look, I'll say till this day, I really don't care how many people will, when the chips are down, and man, when you need them to stand up, they may not stand up for you. That's on them. But I know if there's a situation and I'm seeing something wrong is happening, I'm not gonna say, it's all right because it's not happening to me. That's the Republican way. Let's not go that way. Like I'm gonna say to you, as a person of color or whatever, there's more compassion in me. There's more empathy in me. I already go through a struggle day in and day out. I'm not gonna create an extra struggle and try to basically carry it on from other people and be pissed at everybody, because in the greater scheme of things, how does it help you? Being mad, what does it solve? What does it give you? What are you gaining? I can understand sometimes when people say that with the way African people talk. Like, I know, I've heard it too, where African people talk down about Black American people. So with everything that people in this country go through who can be people of color, it's kind of messed up to say, yeah, if you just tried harder, it'd be easier. No, it wouldn't. Sometimes trying real hard don't make that much of a difference. So let's just be serious. Especially when they actually have things in place stacked against you to make sure that no matter how hard you try, you are going to fail. So it's when and I get what people are upset about. You're talking out of your... I'm not saying to give up and not try, but I'm just trying to say is you're not helping telling me just try harder. That's not what it is. It's sort of like saying, hey, I just got shot in the leg. Yeah, if I just try harder, it'll make the bleeding stop, and if I just walk it off. Acting like it's like me just spraining my ankle, but it's a gunshot. It's not the same thing. There's different levels of ways things are working. So that's just my thing. Like I said, I don't see the plan. I don't see it ever working out, us dividing ourselves further, because if you haven't figured out the way the elites or the 1% or the super wealthy stay in power is not by making sure that we all work together and give us so much abundance that we're like, hey, what's those guys over there doing? What they try to do is they try to starve you, give you crumbs, and then make you fight over the crumbs. And while you're fighting over the crumbs, they're literally taking giant pieces of pie and cake and just stuffing it in their mouths. And then you're trying to get the crust, because that's all that's left. That little bits of crust on the table. They own dividing yourself and finding ways to make yourself be divided. Or giving them something that you feel that you should be basically getting. Be mad at Lori Lightfoot. It's not their fault that she's valuing them. It's something wrong with her. So stop shifting the anger to somebody else. Like, oh, instead of being pissed at what do you call it, Lori Lightfoot, you're taking out on the people who are just as bad situations, or sometimes who are in no better situation than you, and you turning on against them, and you're fighting amongst each other and being enemies. How does that help you in any way? It doesn't. So I'm telling you, man, my whole story for Blue Jay and the Rush is about this. It's all about what you can achieve together versus what you can achieve by yourself. The whole idea is it's an enterprise of a bunch of empowered people trying to fight against a greater threat. That's what it is. Because you can do more together than you can do apart. That's the plan. That's the crux of my story. If everybody ever wanted the elevator pitch, I actually have it written in the blurb in the top of the book. What it's about. It's an enterprise to stop a threat that's bigger than all of them, and the only way they can do it is by working together. That's it. Like my whole story. Hero book, and I never really tell you, let us, comrade, come together and whatever. The way I actually do it is I just show it to you in news blurbs, and I show you in actions or business ventures that these characters choose to do, the way they choose to interact with their community, what they choose to do with their wealth or not wealth, or their time or their energy. That's how I'm spreading my message. I'm not trying to beat you over the head and say that men suck, women rule, boys drool. Like, none of that. That doesn't help anybody. That's not how you tell a story. And if you're doing it that way, then you're not a good storyteller. And if the message is so obvious that people are not can't piece together that every time when you're doing it, you're showing people working in a unit and coming together and trying to do stuff. That's literally all I just do. I just keep showing it to you over and over again. And that's how it's done. Oh, but as I was saying, Blue Jay in the Rush #2. Woo! So I was going to show you. Let me get out of here. This is going to take a while because it's deep in the book. So I was going to show you what I was talking about. Like, I love doing. I love doing that stuff in my books. So Blue Jay and Prototype 1. She's flying him in. There's a reason why this is happening, and he sees something going on, and he's like, damn, I gotta get there. And he tells her, hey, head back, ASAP, tell them it's code whatever. He goes, is my mom all right? He's like, yeah, she's great, just go. And he goes, just let me go here. And then this is the scene. She lets him go. He gets ready. He goes into a dive, tuck, roll, boom, slams the thing into the ground, takes off, running. And then next page, like I said, I have the 5 version and the 3 version. And you're here now. So I think I'm going to do the 5 version. He jumps off the roof, swings, wham, through the window. This will animate really well. I might have to do a few more tweens to get his body into those positions. Like, I need 1, 2, or 3 more frames to get there. But yeah, man, look at it. It's just right there. Swings right in, smashes, knock the dude down. And then this is that pose I keep telling people I can do really well. 1 knee down, 1 knee up. I can draw that from any angle, any position, top view, back view, down view, worm's eye view, 3/4 view, back view. I can draw that. I have no idea why, but it's like one of my signature poses. And then here's my other signature pose that I can do. Getting your ass knocked out and then your hands around you. I draw that really well. I did it here. I did it also in, what do you call that book? Comic Showcase #2. I did it again when they knocked out Captain Jamaica. And I also do it again in my Bliss project, when everybody keeps saying it's the brother, but it's not the brother. Right here. There he is. Boom! Again, it's one of my favorite poses to do. Like, it's one of my signature poses. And then that 1 knee down, 1 knee up, that's another one of my signature poses. I can do that in almost any position. And I can keep changing your arms and whatever. I can make you do anything from that position. So yeah, that's the fun stuff. Like, I started figuring out. And doing this project, doing these 29 pictures, so I'm going to show it to you. It's increased my ability to lay out characters. It's Fallen Sky. And you're seeing her, the suit that I designed for her. Oh, that's all it is. Whew. I'll be able to go tone that down and fix that suit in the next few pictures. This is Captain Jamaica and character that I created. Oh, are you Embrace? Death's Embrace, yeah, Embrace. Something Desire, but it's Embrace. So that's my character, Embrace. Um, this is when I started realizing I can't do these one in an hour. After Eric passed, I was just like, yo, I'm gonna do like a tribute picture for him and his character Nightfire. And then this is the actual Bliss picture that I designed. But when I do the book, that's probably gonna be either inside cover or I might just do a double page for him anyway. It doesn't really matter. um, and list some more of his stuff. So this is Jonathan Fox, created by John McKellen, and the book is called Monster of Egypt. I bought that as a graphic, as a digital copy. I'm thinking I'm going to actually get the full copy too. So, but fantastic stuff. Shay Diamond, she's in Real Comic Showcase. Pink Hammer, OG from ICC, Terrence Baker's Pink Hammer. One of his many characters, but I just love that character. So yeah, I just dropped a Pink Hammer real quick. This is Kimberly Marsenberry's Enigma. This is Gadget, the girl with the big wrench, also known Ione, also known as Gadget, aka. I've done a picture of her before, but I like this one a lot more because I kind of emulated Kim's style. And then behind her is the older lady, Nana. My favorite thing I've ever done with these two characters is this. I do motion comics, and this was my second motion comic. It was a promo for her book Enigma 2, and these two characters is the first time I generated female voices, or I created female voices, and both voices are mine. But when you hear them, one sounds like a younger woman and one sounds like an older wise woman, and it was pretty cool. So that's what I kind of like about these two. But I like the story. I'm doing the inking on it, but this was my little take of that world. Another AOG from what do you call it? ICC, Chester Coulson's Amen. Like I said, Vince White and my brother have been telling me about your superhero body grammar. There's certain poses that if you put a character in and you take layers and you put stuff together, you can make beautiful art. Yeah, that is hot stuff. So this one came out really, really good. And I'm going to be using this as a billboard for a movie that's going to be in a shot of my Blue Jay and the Rush on my third page. I'm going to have this like sitting up in the wall. It's going to say Chester Coulson's Amen. What do you call it? Amen the Chosen. Chester Coulson coming to a theater near you. Like it's going to be like a movie poster. So this one's going to be hot. So I'm going to be definitely using that too. This is Tyra Forrest Martin's Sharpshooter. Nice. Book's out. Get it. This is George Gantz, the dad and the toddler. And the situation is she's got his really expensive $120 controller, and he's trying to get it before she tosses it. My man Chuck Collins, Chuck Black Dragon Collins, and this is Effie and the Bouncer. This one came out real nice too. I just reference his pictures so I can get the looks of the characters. But my tendency is when I draw your character, I want it to look like the way you draw it, but I drew it the way you would have. Like if I could draw it like you, this is kind of like what I would do your stuff. Like I always try to definitely give that look to everything I draw. This is my version of George Gantz style. This is whoever drew Sharpshooter. That's just my take on that. This is my whole take on Amen. This is my way if I was drawing Enigma, aping Kim style. That's just me drawing Black Hammer. This is me just drawing Shay Diamond. This is my take on Jonathan Fox. So on Jonathan Fox. Like that's the whole point. I always draw Nightfire. I've been drawing him because I've been drawing Real Comic Showcase, so I've started to get a feel for him. So like I like drawing this character. He's one of my favorites to draw. And you should see the way Vince draws him. It's different, but still freaking, like Vince always says, powerful as hell. Like I love his take on Nightfire, but it's it's a totally different look. But both of us, you see the character, you be like, oh, that's Nightfire. Captain Jamaica, I love the character so much. I went to James Bethel. Do you want to do a Captain Jamaica book? So he's like, yeah, I have a story. That's why I'm drawing Captain Jamaica now, because Space Vinci, Amara, and this is my take on her character. Fallen Sky, my take on Willpower, and this is my take on the brother and Ishu. I'm aping Henry Wilson style, so like that's kind of like what I tend to do. If I find a look that I like for characters, I try to emulate that look. That's my take on dreadlocks. This is like I think my fifth dreadlock piece, and I like this shot of the protector. Actually, I don't know. I think I could do this better, but it looks alright. Get it to be better in my eyes, even though it's not a bad piece. This one I went over like 6 times. It's still off to me, but I can live with it. Absolver, not bad. It looks a little short, but it's not bad. It's a pretty neat take. I actually kind of like that. Avery came out perfect. I actually took a Wonder Woman pose as the reference. If you know Gilbert Monsanto, who does the arena, I some of the shots too were references from poses of a character he did, and then I just did whatever character I wanted. Like, what am I trying to basically create in my look? This is Samuel McLeany's Rabbit King in Hair. And the reason you'll see there's so many women there is this is why I did it with a woman. I was trying to balance out how many women I'm drawing versus all the guys. Like, I've drawn the Horsemen before, and what I wanted to do was I took all the guys out and went straight for the 4 women of the Horsemen so I can get more women in there. Oye, Ishu, Batala, and Yame. Yamaya. So those are the 3. So I mean 4, but this one came out real nice. Same thing. I was referencing a lot of Gilbert's poses in there because he had a lot of real cool poses, and these characters came out perfect in them too. From my head, this is a more cartoony version of Supernatural, but I kind of like it. It came out pretty neat, and again, the face I was trying to emulate Marcus Williamson's faces. So that's what you see here. Is it William or Williamson? It might be Williams. Roy, what is it? Okope Roy. That's his character EXO. Fantastic character. And then this is LaShawn Cloven's Beautiful Soldiers. So this is Tara. Again, each time I was going for the black character in the story. This is BC Gladney's POTUS. And then this is Josephine Jean's Death Spirit. And then I end with Gray Williamson Valmar. So that's really, really all of them. And after doing all those characters, okay, so this is the last thing I wanted to show. I was gonna go Indiegogo. This is the Powerverse Jumping collectible card stuff. So it's at 720, so it's completely funded, which is cool. And it's just basically a card game. And for like $25, you get you'll get the actual deck of cards with your character inside. You're gonna get a character card, a digital copy. You're gonna get the card because you're gonna have the card, but you're gonna get digital copies of the source book of all the characters that are in the game. You're gonna get a comic with the instructions, a comic slash instruction manual, 4-page comic and instruction manual of the game. You're going to get a PDF of the game mat that you can print out and use at your leisure, and you're going to get a PDF copy of the page of your character that's inside the 101 source book. $25. I keep telling Vince the way the card is set up gives you the name of the character, the blurb, the creator. It's going to also give you like who they are. Like Blue Jay, he's a psychic. He's a psychic, a psychic detective with enhanced vision, or psychic detective, like whichever way Vince writes it. But you get a little blurb to tell you who he is, and then his special on the card is also related to a power that Blue Jay has. And out of all his information on who he is, and then you can actually his bio, and you can actually put that into. So there's a lot that's going to be provided in there, so you can definitely learn a lot about these characters. It's a good way to promote your character, but at the same time you get them into this card game. It'll be kind of fun as hell to play. And then this pack, so if you do $35, you can get 2 characters, 2 character sheets, and 2 characters will be in the card pack that you're going to receive. If you go to 60, you can get 3 characters in there. If you go to everything pack, everything printed, and you get 3 characters. And then you go 3 decks, print everything. That's what I went for, because I actually wanted more than 1 deck, and I wanted everything printed. And I got an extra deck as a bonus, which is kind of cool. Which I didn't expect. I thought it was 2 decks and everything printed. So that's kind of what I went for. But yeah, like I said, it's pretty neat. This is Blue Jay is used as the example in it. And you get to see the card. Yeah, paranormally enhanced detective. Kind of correct, because he's super strong, dense bones, dense skin, has the ability to alter his body with his mind. Wins instantly if doubles are rolled. That's messed up. But yeah, that's what I'm talking. And wins instantly if doubles. So here's the thing. Does that mean if the opponent rolls a double, he also wins? That's messed up. That is so messed up. So if you roll a double, whether he rolls it or you roll it, you lose. You just can't roll doubles if you're fighting Blue Jay. So there's this special ability, attack, his base attack, character image. So like all of this can be definitely used instead of you creating a whole brand new character sheet, like all these things where you have to keep all these stats. I would basically tell you, if you're creating your character, you want to go might, you want to go wits, you want to go speed, you want to go to armor, fight, and power. So speed, to me, speed is also my physical prowess. Armor is like your health, like your hit points. Like you can take your armor and your speed, and you could probably mix those together and say like that's your base hit points, or double that's your base hit points. So that'd be kind of cool. You could do in a game. And based on physiology and things like that, you could say +5, +6, plus whatever, and you can add things like that to it. So like you said, this is gonna be cool. I already have the 101. I physically have the book here too, and I have have it physical. I gotta check, but I have everything willpower, like book 1 through 5, and I have also, what is that thing called? Powderverse Chronicles Action Pack 1-shot too. I have that, and then this is the character sheet. So it gives you the creator, gives you who's publishing it, gives you the character's full name, gives you their superhero stuff, and then their power rating. So I'm going to like that's down there. So like I said, I might play around with some of that because mine is like spirit or something. So I'm gonna play around with that. So I'm gonna look at this and I might just borrow it. And the reason is it's based on 5. So it's based on 5. So me, what I might just do is instead of the halo, it might be called something different, but it's very similar to it. And I want to just play around with that too. So yeah, because I went 8 attributes, I'm just gonna pare it down to 5, and I'm gonna do the same thing, and I would generate a power rating for the characters too. And this is another example of it. So it's really cool, really cool stuff that he did here. So stuff for the game and things for you to have as a character sheet, and there's the battle mat and so on and so forth. So that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna be ending the stream here, and I just wanted to show y'all the card. It's cool that it's been done. Like Vince was gonna be redrawing everybody, and I know it's gonna be a lot of characters, so I just tell him I think this Blue Jay is fine if he wants, and he already has the card. I don't think he has to waste the time recreating a new Blue Jay card. I was saying what he could do is just characters that I want to have in it, but I think the Blue Jays is fine. I don't think he has to spend time. But yeah, it's really cool. So that's it. I'm gonna end the stream, and like I always say, keep your eyes, your ears, your hearts, and your mind open. Next time, I'll probably be streaming on YouTube when I'm playing games. But thanks for watching, and I appreciate the likes and the folks that are following, because that's what it's all about. So I'm playing.